Hey everybody, it is Rick here for probably one of my more popular videos that I release every year. Well, it's going to be a multi-part situation this year. First, of course, the hot trash of 2021. Basically, what I'm going to do here is I have some dishonorable mentions and I'll go through my top 10 worst films of 2021. And then I will be dropping another video, my top 10 of 2021, plus some honorable mentions. And then this year, I'm going to do a few different videos in addition to those, which are my typical go-tos. I'm also going to do the movies I missed in 2021, which is basically, I'm going to go through all the movies that I want to see from 2021 and try to get some feedback from you guys, the viewers. Let me know what I should push towards the top of my watch list. And then I'm going to do a video where I talk about the TV series that I watched in 2021. That's a very different video for this channel, as I usually just stick to like movies. Sometimes I'll integrate wrestling or music. But I watched quite a bit of TV. We'll get into it in that video, but I watch a lot of garbage TV. And a lot of you guys will probably give me a hard time for some of the stuff I watch, but I enjoy it. So yeah, we're going to do the worst of. First, I want to thank everybody. I dropped that massive video recently. I'm not exactly sure when I'm dropping this video. I'm recording it on January 23rd. I dropped that big collection video. The feedback has been very good. As of today, it has over 1,600 views. Quite a few of you folks have bought stuff from me, so thank you for that. It has been successful so far. It is still sitting in the corner of my room there, along with a lot of other stuff that I need to record and do videos for, but that won't be today. The goal for today with my recording is to do these 2021 videos, maybe a few more review videos. And get my camera right here. Let's see. Sorry, guys. All right. So, the worst of 2021, or the hot trash of 2021, as I've called it. One more thing. I finally got one of my new shirts I ordered. If you guys get the reference, leave comments down below. But when I saw that shirt, I was like, I absolutely need to get that. I love that shirt. I also have a cup of hot tea today since I'll be doing a lot of talking. I wish I had a spoon to stir in it. It would go with the shirt. And we're going to dive right in. So I believe, let me double check. I do not own any of these movies physically anymore. Some of them I did do blind buys on. And when I watch them, I no longer own them. So that is nice to see. And let's dive right in. So for dishonorable mentions, I have 5 movies here. First up would be Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is one I watched on HBO Max with RJ and Bridget when it first got released. It was a day and date for Warner Brothers in 2021. I just wasn't a fan of the movie overall. I think the basketball scene at the end was very long, drawn out, and honestly boring. LeBron James was terrible in the movie. And it was cool to see cameos throughout the film, but overall, not something I'd ever rewatch. Especially, I enjoy the first one quite a bit. One I watched when I was a kid quite often, but Space Jam: A New Legacy didn't quite do it for me. Also in that vein, another kind of reboot, if you will. He's All That, the Netflix exclusive. No surprise that it's on the bottom of the year list. I'm sure people are shocked it's not in my bottom 10, but I watched some movies worse than this. So, He's All That, just a retelling of She's All That, the early 2000s teen movie with Rachel Lee Cook and Matthew Lillard, Paul Walker. This starred Addison Rae and involved TikTok, and just it wasn't very good. I mean, once again, watchable. This year, I will say I watched probably like 115 2021 released films, and not as bad as years past with like bottom of the barrel stuff. Like I want to say my top 10 worst of the year are all 1.5 or lower, and I think there was only, I don't even know if there was a half star. I think most of the movies were 1 star on my list. So next up was a movie I watched on physical called Shadow in the Cloud, which starred Chloe Grace Moretz, co-written by Max Landis. Basically like a World War II film where Chloe Grace Moretz has a package and she goes on a stealth plane and she's put in a little capsule below the plane, and I actually really enjoyed the beginning of the film. It took a weird twist about a half an hour in, and the movie was only like 75 or 80 minutes, and I just thought it went off the rails. The dialogue was pretty awful. The action I found to be honestly boring. And yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I know like Crazy Joe was a pretty big fan of that movie, if I'm not mistaken. And it's something, like I said, I watched it on Blu-ray, and the next day it went up on my eBay page. So next up was a Netflix film called Good on Paper, which starred Eliza Schlesinger, who's a stand-up comic that I enjoy. And it was like based loosely on a true story where she meets this guy on an airplane and he pretends to be something he's not, and they start dating, and he's very I'm trying to think of the proper word. He's very flaky when it comes to certain things, and like I said, trying to be things he's not. And I just was bored by that movie, honestly. It was tough for me to get through. And then my last dishonorable mention is SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, which was the Paramount Plus exclusive, which basically felt like a way for them to promote Camp Coral, which was a new Paramount Plus show that came to Paramount Plus. So they put the movie on there on the drop date. Like, I signed up for Paramount Plus for a year, and it was one of the titles that was available upon the new switchover from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. And the animation was a bit quirky for me. And I enjoy the first couple SpongeBob movies. I really do, especially the original, the SpongeBob movie. But was not really a fan of Sponge on the Run. And we're going to dive into the top 10. And I think one of these I haven't even talked about in a review video yet. So you guys will get the exclusive on it here. And that's the number 10 film, Afterlife of the Party, which stars Victoria Justice. And it's basically about a girl who's like a partier. She works as a party planner, and she's celebrating her birthday, and she has a best friend who wants to lay low and just hang out with her. And she insists on going out every year and having like this big party thing with all these people that she only hangs out with like once a year, honestly. And she dies, and she gets put in the in-between place, basically like the good place almost, the premise of that show. She gets put in the in-between place, and she has to like make amends with 3 people. And the first hour of this movie, I was like, this could be contender for worst film of the year. We're in half-star territory. And it does a really good job of like pulling at the emotional heartstrings with some stuff that I don't want to spoil. If you guys want to watch this, I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt weird. Like, you're supposed to feel for this girl, Victoria Justice's character, and like within 15 minutes she's in the in-between place, so you don't get to like fully gather her backstory. And yeah, I don't know, and it was weirdly paced for me. So that is my number 10 worst of the year, hot trash of the year, Afterlife of the Party. Number 9, this is going to be controversial along with a few other movies that are on my list, as I know some people really enjoyed this movie. And that is No Sudden Move, which was an HBO Max exclusive, directed by Steven Soderbergh, who loved to use the fisheye lens for pretty much the entire runtime of this movie, which I felt incredibly distracted by. It was very hard for me to keep watching the movie because of the way it was shot, honestly. An all-star cast, the return of Brendan Fraser to film, to the mainstream. I know he's on Doom Patrol and he's done some other stuff. And but man, this movie was a snooze for me. It was like a murder mystery kind of thing with a loaded cast. I'm trying to remember people in it. Don Cheadle was in it. Benicio del Toro. Lots of familiar faces. That's why we're excited to watch it. It released at a time like right around where Tomorrow War dropped, right like beginning of July. where streaming services had like loaded up major films, and this was HBO Max's exclusive. Didn't get a theatrical release, and it was a stinker for me. Was not a fan. So number 9, No Sudden Move. Next up, I've noticed too that 1, 2, 3, 4 of these are streaming movies, and it's like one from each major streaming service, which is kind of funny. So the third streamer in a row would be from Hulu, and that's the number 8 hot trash of the year, False Positive, the movie that wanted to be like Rosemary's Baby. Alana Glazer from Broad City is trying to get pregnant. She goes to this doctor played by Pierce Brosnan, and they do like an in utero thing, and it takes very weird twists and turns. She's having all sorts of pregnancy issues. They keep like giving her different medicines and whatnot. The way it's shot is disorienting as well, because you're not sure what to believe. Like, what you're seeing, is it real? Is it not real? And it's like who's really acting the way they do in the film, and who is she pretending acts the way in the film. So it's really weirdly done. Was not a fan of this movie at all, False Positive. So that's why it falls at number 8 on my worst of the year. This one will be controversial, number 7. It's a movie that a lot of people praised for being a really fun time, a fun watch. But for me, wow, it was something else. And that is Psycho Goreman. The trailer just looked ridiculous. I actually watched this movie from listening to the Mega Podtastic podcast with Joe and Jacob. And they had talked about the trailer. I watched the trailer. I said, this looks weird. It was like almost an R-rated gore fest, but it had little kids as the co-actors, and the movie was weird. I don't even know if the movie was rated, because like they didn't really use bad language, but then there was all this over-the-top gore, and they called it PG, Psycho Goreman, which I guess is a clever way to promote it, or go about it. It was a very low-budget movie. I remember the little girl being very sweet in the film. I watched that pretty early back in 2021, but wow, it reminded me almost of Turbo Kid, but Turbo Kid was a lot more fun in my opinion. I really enjoyed Turbo Kid. It's too far away for me to show you guys, but it was like a weird low budget 80s throwback movie, but I think it almost had like rated R vibes to it. But it almost felt like a Goonies or, well, Stand By Me is radar, but that kind of vibe, but a weird take, but it was executed well. I know Turbo Kid's a movie that a lot of people do not talk about. I recommend checking out Turbo Kid instead of Psycho Goreman, personally. And Psycho Goreman, like I said, number 7 on my worst of the year. Number 6, this was bad. I fell asleep during this one and went back to rewatch the section. I fell asleep, and I wish I would have just left it alone. And that is The Unholy, which starred Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Basically about some of these, I don't have notes. I just have my list here, like a 1-page list. So I'm just going from memory. Basically, it was about there was a church, and there was an idol found outside the church. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's an alcoholic. He breaks the idol, and then a girl at the church who I think was a mute, like, discovers the doll, and then all of a sudden she can talk, and they think that like Jesus is like talking through her, but it's a false idol, and weird twists and turns. I don't even remember much about it. I kind of like pushed it in the back of my mind. The Unholy was not very good. That was another one. As soon as we watched it, I think before I even did my review of it, it was up on eBay. So like I said, I don't remember much. I just remember it being pretty awful in my opinion. And I keep thinking there's something on my shirt, but there's a plus and minus thing on my camera. It's showing up right there. There's nothing on my shirt. See, now it's on my hand. You guys can't see it. I'm talking like you can see it. Number 5 on Hot Trash of the Year 2021 is a movie that was sent over to me digitally to check out for you guys to review, starring Bella Thorne, Gavin Rossdale, and it is a movie called Habit. A movie that has like a 72-minute runtime. Starts out with a very weird like black and white footage thing, and it goes right into this movie where Bella Thorne is friends with this group of girls and they steal drugs, and Gavin Rossdale is a drug dealer, and it was messy. Like I said, we streamed it on my phone and mirrored it onto my TV because that's how it was sent to me. It was like a digital screener to review, and man, it was awful. It was one I was really excited about too because the trailer made it look really cool. Like they have like nun outfits on and they're selling drugs in nun costumes. I was like, oh, it's almost like an R-rated, like it almost felt like a Pulp Fiction with attractive females, and Gavin Rossdale was in there and he was like a 80s TV star in the show or in the movie, and it just ended up being a mess. I was so glad it was only like 70 something minutes. I remember Bridget and I looked at each other and we're like, well, that was something. I know the artwork. I'll probably have my plan is to have posters of everything. It has like Bella Thorne with like sunglasses on. I want to say she has a nun outfit on, but yeah. Number 5, The Habit. Number 4 was a film with an all-star cast that had lots of problems before it came out, and that is Chaos Walking, which stars Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley. I want to say Mads Mikkelsen might be in the film. Basically about a planet where it's only males, and when you're thinking stuff in your mind, it comes out as noise and people can see your inner thoughts. And then Daisy Ridley shows up and she's the first female on this planet, and she can see all their thoughts, but they can't see her inner thoughts. And these people are chasing her. But the noise, whatever they call the inner thoughts, were so distracting. It was so jostled. And apparently pre-production, they'd done the movie and they had to change a bunch of it because they said it was even worse. I mean, I'm curious to see what the original was, if the end result turned out to be what was released. Like I said, the inner noise was just a mess and it was distracting. Tom Holland has a dog. A dog is an important character in the movie, which is fine sometimes, but not this time. And with the cast like that, like I said, there were supporting roles. I want to say Nick Jonas was in the movie, but Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley, I was pretty excited about it. And it just did not pan out well, in my opinion. Number 3, and this is going to definitely upset some people. The A24 purists are going to be very upset. And it is a movie called Saint Maud. We watched this. It was available on Epix, and I had access to Epix through cable at that point. Like they were doing a free preview. So that's how we watched it, and there was lots of hype for it. The new A24 horror movie. I have a very up and down history, especially with A24 and their horror films. I do enjoy quite a bit of A24 movies, and I want to say right outside my honorable mentions for this year was an A24 film, Zola. Really enjoyed Zola quite a bit. So they're very hit or miss now. They also have their finger on the pulse of like just unique films. So Saint Maud, this is one that I've really, it's been a very long time since I've watched it. About a woman, I don't even remember what it was about. I was going to try to explain it. I know it's about a woman who hurts herself, and it has to do with religion. I'm very, very foggy on it, but I did not care for the movie at all. It was long. I remember it being shot and it looked very dark throughout the film. I wasn't a fan. And like I said, I apologize. I don't really remember the premise as well. I think I've been pretty on top of the premise of most of the other titles here. But 3, Saint Maud. A24 people are going to light me up, I'm sure, in the comments, but sorry. I mean, I try. I really do try to step outside my comfort zone with certain things I watch, and that was one of them, and it just did not hit well for me. Number 2, another HBO Max day and date film, Tom and Jerry. Really wanted to like this one. I was really hoping for a fun family movie. Lots of actors in it I liked. Chloe Grace Moretz, Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live. But it was one of those movies where all the animals were animated. No, Tom and Jerry were the only animated animals. Everybody else was live action, if I'm not mistaken. Like all the other dogs, like Colin Jost has a dog that's a real dog, I think. I'm 95% sure. This came out in what, March or April, I want to say. But Tom and Jerry, what a mess. Not funny at all. I don't think we watched it with RJ, if I remember correctly, and RJ wasn't a fan. I don't think I was laughing at all. It was just very, I know it's a movie geared towards kids, but it was overly childish with not a lot for adults to like, in my opinion. Tom and Jerry the movie got, like I said, it's my number 2 hot trash of the year. And number 1, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is the hot trash of the year? I will tell you that I wish I could give the Swing of Things hot trash of the year again. That Dumpster Fire I know is available on Hulu. So if any of you guys want to torture yourself with the only movie I've ever given a 0 out of 5 to, didn't even give it a half-star review. It's available on Hulu if you guys want to watch it. Man, that movie, it's forever etched in my brain, sadly. But this year's number 1, bottom of the barrel, worst of the year, hot trash of the year, is the Amazon Prime Video film Bliss, which stars Owen Wilson and Selma Hayek. Owen Wilson is a businessman who, in the beginning of the movie, throws his boss out a window. He thinks he kills him. He goes over to a bar across the street. He meets Selma Hayek, who gives him these pills. And these pills make you think you're in a fantasy world and everything's perfect. They call it bliss. But then he starts to go like, what's real? What's not real? There's different color pills. And it gets in this whole thing like, what's real? What's not real? He has a daughter, but Selma Hayek's telling him he doesn't have a daughter. So not only is the movie confusing just to be confusing, but Owen Wilson in the serious lead role of a sci-fi film, big mistake in my opinion. Selma Hayek, as you know, tries to like ugly herself down in the beginning world of the movie. I'm not even ready to get into trying to explain this to you. She has like makeup on that makes her look ugly, similar to what she did in House of Gucci almost. And this movie is just a dumpster fire. I forget if I give this a half-star or 1 star. This was really bad. And one, I was not glad that I spent the time to watch. Although it really had me curious. The trailer for it looked really cool, honestly. But it just didn't get executed well, in my opinion. And that's it, guys. That is the hot trash of 2021. And you guys will see in a future video. Like I said, I'm going to do all the movies of 2021 that I want to see, that I have not. Let me know what I should watch. Let me know what I should avoid or put to the very end. And if you guys don't, check out my Letterboxd, as I have a list for, I want to say at least the last 3 or 4 years, where as soon as I watch a movie from that year, it gets filtered in. So my top movie of the year could change. My worst of the year could change. I'm constantly putting stuff into those lists, and it's constantly updating. So follow me on there. I also have lists of movies from like the last 4 or 5 years that I still need to watch. And give me a follow. The link down below in the description. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my Letterboxd, where I rate and review everything I watch. I have a ton of different lists on there. Blu-ray.com profile, my Amazon wish list, my eBay store, P.O. box, email address, all can be found down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know a lot of people enjoy my end of the year videos, and sorry it took so long. I wanted to do it earlier, and then January's been a bit chaotic. December is always chaotic because of the holidays, and there was some stuff that I wanted to watch before I ended up doing this video. I was able to watch some of that. Same thing with my best of. So thank you guys for watching as always. Until next time, who's down to movie?